It's time for another episode of Friday Call, your mortgage man Eric, and here we go. And today we're going to talk about the latest on the mortgage industry with what's going on with COVID-19 and coronavirus, right? All of the issues that have resulted from that, the consequences of this virus and how it has affected the mortgage industry. Things have gotten a little bit better, I will have to say that, than where we were a few weeks back on the brink of collapse on the mortgage industry. I don't think people really truly understand that yet. They just think it's business as usual in the mortgage industry, and for the most part it is, but the backside of it was this close on collapsing. Now, we're not out of the woods yet, and let's recap. Let's go back in and let's recap on what has taken place with the forbearance program, which is not a good program. If you can make your mortgage payments, make your mortgage payments, because the forbearance is not the way to go. If it's the last case resort, then so be it. But so just because, we're recapping here, just because you don't make your mortgage payment to your servicer does not mean that the monies are gone. That money still has to be made to the bondholder. So you make your money, your payments to the servicers. The servicers then have to take those monies and transfer it to the bondholders, the people that own the bonds, the mortgage-backed securities in the secondary market, in the bond market. People buy those bonds with guarantees of rate of return, right? Just like you would if you would buy a CD, right? The money still have to keep flowing. Even though the consumer is not putting any money into it, money's got to come from somewhere. So the servicer in a normal, regular market would make those payments for the consumer. Problem is, do the math. If you've got no money coming in and got money going out, there's only a matter of time before you are in a bad situation. You are hurting on liquidity. You don't have any monies to loan on new loans. See how it goes? So that's where we were at. Part of the problem has been fixed. Ginnie Mae and HUD announced that yes, they are coming out. They are helping these mortgage servicers with the liquidity issues that they're going to have as a result of the consumers taking advantage of the forbearance program. So there's no money coming in, but the servicers still got to make those monies going out right to the bondholders, right? So just to kind of recap, that's where we're at. So that's good news. Ginnie Mae, HUD announced they're here. They're going to help. Here's the bad news. Mark Calabria, director of FHFA, who's basically Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, just said, look, we're not helping. We're not helping. He doesn't believe that there's a reason to help at this moment. He believes that the forbearance percentages are not going to be as much as what the indications are from the servicers. So there's that, which is... Everybody's speculating, right, that there's going to be a lot of consumers that are going to have to take advantage of the forbearance program, unfortunately, as a result of COVID-19 and coronavirus. So keep that in mind. So the irony here is, if you remember back in the 2008 recession, when Fannie and Freddie got bailed out, right? And rightfully so, they had to be bailed out. The mortgage market, the housing market was collapsing. Actually, it did collapse, in a certain capacity. It did collapse. Government came in, bailed it out. As a result of that, the government bought Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and put it into conservatorship and never has let it go back into the private market, which is something I never agreed about. Fannie and Freddie should be out of conservatorship and they should be privately owned at this point. They have paid back every dollar that was given to them in that bailout and then some. They actually have made the Treasury, who owns Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac right now, has made the Treasury an unbelievable amount of money. And now keep this in mind. You had Ginnie Mae and HUD who announced to help out these servicers who have less than half the amount of reserves than what Fannie and Freddie have. I think Fannie and Freddie, I forget the number, is $25 or $52 billion that they have that they could be helping out these servicers. So as a result of that, there's still this uncertainty in the servicing market. So consumer makes their payment to the servicer. Servicer takes the monies and gives it to the bondholder. Consumer doesn't make the payment to the servicer. Servicer still has to come up with monies to pay the bondholder. That's the problem. Fannie and Freddie doesn't believe there's going to be that number of forbearances as what everybody else is speculating. So unfortunately, that's where we're at right now. Is Fannie and Freddie is Mark Calabria, they're not willing to help out. So there is still some uncertainty. There's still volatility in the mortgage market. As a result of that, look, rates should be lower than where they are right now. But because there's all this volatility, they're not sure if they're going to be around. Not mortgage lenders, servicers, keep that in mind. Servicers, people that purchase the loans, right? And then service the loans and then send the monies to the bondholders. They're the people that are going to be lacking liquidity, which means they're not going to be able to purchase the loans, right? That's where we're at. So there's the volatility. So what they've done is they have put premiums on the rates. So they make more for every deal that does come to fruition because they're in fear that there's no liquidity or not enough liquidity to take them through this forbearance issue that's going to be a problem probably for the rest of the year, no matter how soon we get back to work, because the implications, the consequences of shutting this government down is going to be felt for a while, regardless of how soon we get back to work. Keep that in mind. So that's where we're at, trying to, look, I know this is a complex topic, but a lot of people like to dive deep into the weeds with me and find out what's going on. Why is this happening? Why are rates, only 3.25 on a 30-year fix? I mean, believe me that we're saying that. Oh my God, they're only 3.25. I mean, if you think about that historically, you're really complaining about nothing, right? But I understand that rates should be much lower than that. They should be in the twos with where everything is right now, but they're not. Why? It's because there's no liquidity there, or there's a fear of lack of liquidity. And if Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac would simply just announce that they're willing to take a look at this and back up and support the servicers, I think you would see rates drop immediately. The volatility would be completely gone in the mortgage market, and things would be back to normal. But we got one guy right now, and you see the irony? We bailed Fannie Freddie out in '08, but he's not willing to come and bail out the servicers. Man, that gets my goat. And everybody that's involved in the mortgage industry that understands this deep into the weeds stuff that's going on right now, trust me, they're a little ticked about the situation as well, because that's all it would take. All it would take is an announcement that he'd be willing to take a look and be able to bail out some of these servicers if they get themselves into a problem. That's it. That's all you have to say. And things would just die down. The volatility would go away for the majority. There's still going to be some volatility because of naturally what we're in with this COVID-19 coronavirus stuff. Oh, don't believe the hype is a sequel. But that's where we're at, folks. With that said, it's Friday Coffee, the Mortgage Man Eric, in the office. Nobody else is coming in, so I'm in t-shirts today, man. There's hardly anybody in this building. Everybody's afraid they're going to die tomorrow. Nonetheless, be safe. Let's get back to work, America. See ya. 602-757-2171. See ya.